And welcome back to AgriTalk, our final segment here at the National Ethanol Conference in Orlando. I thought that last segment was very interesting with Dave Vandergren, really explaining a lot that I didn't realize about how gasoline is made as far as what's going to come out of our tailpipes. And, we talk about the environmental benefit of using ethanol, but showing what we're up against when the petroleum industry making a gasoline that kind of neutralizes or negates some of the benefits, or a lot of the benefits we see in tailpipe emissions from using ethanol. So that's a challenge and a message that really I think most of us have not heard. So that'll be interesting to watch as more of that information comes out. We'll be hearing more about it. All right, we've been talking about cellulosic ethanol production for some time, and it's kind of been stalled, or at least not moving as fast as we had hoped. We're going to talk about that with Brooke Coleman, the Executive Director of the Advanced Ethanol Council. Brooke, thanks for joining us. We thought we'd be further along, I guess, right now with cellulosic ethanol. But there have been a lot of factors that I guess contributed to keeping it from being where we'd like it to be right now.
Yeah, cellulosic ethanol became a major part of energy policy in this country about 4 years ago with the December 2007 energy bill. And there were promises made in 2007 that we'd be building in 2009, 2010 timeframe. And most of those benchmarks were not hit. It's a variety of issues, a lot of them related to the economy and the banks freezing up and not being able to even get a car loan. But now we're seeing some real progress in the space, and it's important for people to understand that missing the mark does not mean that this is not a good technology and that we don't have a heck of a lot of opportunity in this space.
Because we've got critics out there saying, I told you so, you couldn't do it, and saying this isn't going to work. What you're saying is it will work, it's just going to take some more time.
Yeah, the pendulum, anybody that follows the political cycle knows that the pendulum swings out too far on one end and then it swings back too far the other way. So say that we overpromised, and now the pendulum's swinging back and people are saying the technology doesn't work. And the reality is that a whole bunch of companies are now building first commercial plants all over this country. We should see 6 to 12 commercial plants in the next 18 months or so. They're not going to be at full capacity, but what we're going to see is exactly what we saw early with the early corn ethanol industry. You're going to see these guys demonstrating profit, and it's going to attract other people to the space.
It's kind of following what we saw with corn ethanol. But now here's a big concern, obviously. Tax incentives right now are hard to come by because of the economic environment and budget cutting and things like that. We saw those tax incentives help get that corn ethanol industry built up and going, and now can move on even without the VTEC that we lost at the end of last year. Now the question is, will there be that kind of support to help build the cellulosic industry?
Yeah, there is some support now. So we obviously have the RFS, and we have a producer tax credit and an accelerated depreciation, both of which expire at the end of the year. So that is a high priority issue for us. Both of those things are things that incumbent energy industries already get. So accelerated depreciation allows them to recover costs in the first year. The fossil fuel industry gets that. Theirs doesn't expire. They get all sorts of producer-based tax incentives that are designed to encourage energy production domestically so that we can have a secure energy market and a secure economy. And we're in the exact same position. The difference is ours expire and ours are perceived, therefore, to be expensive going forward. So we really got to level set that market.
I always find it both interesting and frustrating to hear people say the ethanol industry ought to make it on its own. Ought to be able to stand on its own. But they don't say the same thing or hold the oil industry to the same standard.
Yeah, there's no comparison. They're not even in the same hemisphere with regard to the amount of money the government has spent over the last 10 years, over the last 50 years, over the last 100 years on fossil fuels. There's no comparison. For example, in the world of Solyndra, where people are worried about the Department of Energy supporting solar, if you look at today's DOE budget, they spend 4x on fossil development than they do on renewables development, and then we're only a small piece of that. So yeah, we got to do a better job of telling that story and see if we can get back to sort of having a fair fight in the marketplace and working together, not just a fight, but working together on some projects, because the oil industry and the ethanol industry have always been partners at the business level, and that needs to continue.
We heard Secretary Vilsack say here today one of the real challenges in this next farm bill will be to get the funding, the resources for research, and the help that will be needed in the development of new feedstocks and the development of the cellulosic industry.
Yeah, I mean, the 2008 Farm Bill was very aggressive. They have some great programs, it's feedstock programs, technology programs, biorefining assistance, incentives to have today's biorefineries use different types of feedstock to power their plants. All that stuff zeroes out from a budget perspective, and it's going to be very, very tricky to get it back. But his point is dead on, that these programs have been critical to catalyzing the bioeconomy in this country, and rural America did not need a bailout. They won't need a bailout if we can continue to do what we've been doing. But I think people need to understand that you can't bail out on rural America and then turn around and expect them to keep producing like they have.
We are talking with Brooke Coleman, Executive Director of the Advanced Ethanol Council. All right. We hear about corn stover, we hear about switchgrass, we hear about wood chips, we hear about algae, we even hear about garbage out of landfills. Are any of those about to break through and really be a major source for cellulosic ethanol production?
The technology in the cellulosic ethanol industry has matured by a significant margin over the last 10 years. And so what you're seeing is, so the top tier technologies are already competitive with existing fuel prices. And you're going to see, again, 6 or so plants in the immediate term build out, and you're going to see them with the following feedstocks. You're going to have one in Upper Michigan, built by Mascoma and Valero, that's going to use hardwoods and residual woods, and which are plentiful in that area. You're going to have a plant built in southwest Kansas, built by Abengoa, that's going to use agricultural waste from within a 50-mile radius of that plant, and they already have multi-years worth of feedstock aligned with those farmers. There are a number of other plants using a number of other feedstocks. So municipal solid waste is a good example. You have a very cheap, ready-made feedstock. Those plants are less expensive to build. And so I think you're going to see a handful of municipal solid waste plants pop up, Fulcrum, Enerchem, companies like that, in areas where they have waste issues. And these plants will be a little smaller, 10 million gallons a year. But they're modulated, and they can do a couple of them there, and they're in places where people need fuel.
So it is close.
It's close. You're going to see. You're not going to see RFS volumes in the immediate future, but the RFS is. We knew this when we designed it. There's waiver credits. There's flexibility on this stuff. When the RFS was designed, we knew we were going to have to try to innovate, try to commercialize the most innovative fuel in the world, and there would be some delays. There'd be some variability, and the RFS accounts for that. But what you are going to see is you're going to see that first handful of plants break through and prove out the technology at commercial scale, and that's the critical piece, because that drives everybody else that's taking a wait-and-see approach into the marketplace. So you're really going to see some progress.
All right, thanks, Brooke.
Thank you.
Brooke Coleman, Executive Director of the Advanced Ethanol Council. Before we wrap things up here in Orlando, let's give you the results of our poll question this week. We ask you your thoughts on President Obama's budget proposal to cut ag spending $32 billion over 10 years. 54.2% of you said that's too much. 22.9% of you said it's about right. 22.9% of you also said it's too little. All right. Thank you for logging on and voting. We'll have a new poll question for you coming up on Monday. On Monday, we're going to look at a disruption in rice trade. Why is Iraq not buying U.S. rice? We'll take a look at that. Also, remember, next week, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we'll be broadcasting from Nashville and Commodity Classic. Have a great weekend. Thanks for joining us on AgriTalk.